We have a massive update for Scottie Barnes as he's been selected to an elite group that could potentially make the Olympic USA team, which could have a major impact on his career. So we'll discuss that, including an update regarding Nick Nurse, which honestly is pretty wild regarding his coaching prospects after getting fired from the Toronto Raptors. So lots of stuff going on today. Without further ado, let's jump on the first topic of discussion. The first thing that we're taking a look at is a massive update for Scottie Barnes. Now, obviously, Scottie Barnes has been handed the reins, is now the top guy for the Toronto Raptors following the trades of OG Anunoby as well as Pascal Siakam. Even though guys like RJ and Quickly have been playing pretty good for the Toronto Raptors of late, Scottie Barnes is the main guy for this Toronto Raptors group, and he's had a breakout season this year. I mean, for the Toronto Raptors, this season is averaging 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field, 37% from the three-point line, which has been a massive step up from where it has been in previous seasons. Scottie Barnes has unlocked his game on the offense and defensive end. He's getting more blocks per night. He's amping it up a little bit on that end of the floor, and that has been recognized by the National Olympic Program of the USA. Now, Team USA obviously fields some of the best players in the NBA, bringing it into their group, and they made a shortlist, a selection of players that they're going to be invited to the camp to potentially make that Olympic team. And Scottie Barnes was amongst that list, as Shams came out and said that the USA player pool of 41 finalists that will be used to select the 12-player USA roster for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris have been revealed. And I won't list out all the players named on this list, but Scottie Barnes is amongst this group, which is a pretty cool sight to see. Now, there's definitely some players on here that are more role players. Not necessarily every guy on this list is an all-star, but the fact that Scottie Barnes is a part of such a group and could potentially make the Olympic roster is massive for his potential growth, for his potential development. I mean, we've seen guys play for Team USA and come back a season later and just look completely on another level, playing around that level of talent. We saw even Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan in their past years with the Toronto Raptors. They really much talked about their Team USA experience as a thing that sort of unlocked their games to the next level. I mean, Anthony Edwards in just FIBA last season, we saw what that did. Now Anthony Edwards is one of the top dudes in the league. Sort of took that jump from, budding star to proper bona fide superstar in the NBA. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that Scottie Barnes, just because he's going to play with this group, is going to elevate his game to the next level, but it definitely helps. And being around elite talent for an entire summer, if he ends up making that full pod, would be huge for the development of his career. And frankly, looking at the list of players, Scottie Barnes definitely has a shot at making that 2024 All-Star game. Again, you have guys that are probably going to be guaranteed locks on it, if they end up staying healthy or if they're interested in stuff. Guys like LeBron, even though they're older, right? LeBron, Jimmy, there's a huge list of guys that it's going to be tough to parse through, but Scottie Barnes is probably better than a lot of guys on this list. Just eyeballing it, I mean, at this moment in time, Josh Hart, Tyler Hero, Drew Holiday, probably still put him over Chet. You can make an argument over Ingram, Kyrie. Maybe, well, Kyrie's been pretty good as of late, but again, has had up and down times over the course of his career. Cam Johnson, I mean, there's a lot of players selected in this group because it's not necessarily the 41 best players in the NBA that are from the USA. What they do is they want to build a well-rounded roster. So I think Scottie Barnes is a legitimate chance of making this sort of group because, one, obviously he's elite on both ends of the floor. He does everything out there that you'd want. But two, and this is the big one, even though he might not be, a top 12 most talented USA player just yet, obviously still being super young, developing into the league, his game is very complimentary. It's guys like Draymond Green, Kenneth Furry, they've made these rosters in the past because their skill sets are built to sort of complement other stars, even though they might be stars themselves, right? Scottie Barnes can create for himself, can get buckets, can space the floor, can do all those types of things, but is also someone that's capable of being more of a role player if needed to be. He's a great passer. He cuts really well. He just has an extremely high basketball IQ and does it on both ends of the floor. So even amongst this giant list of players, which again is filled to the brim with remarkable talent, I think Scottie Barnes is a legitimate shot, especially if he continues sort of his ascension over the course of the season to actually make this roster for the 2024 team. Not saying it's a guarantee. I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but this sort of a competition, this opportunity that he's been given to sort of represent Team USA, on the national stage, it could be something that's game changing for Scottie Barnes' future. Will definitely help that he's sort of involved because we know how Team USA can sometimes not select some upper echelon NBA players because of what they regard to be fit or how they adjust the coach and all those types of things. So I'm hoping Scottie Barnes ends up making this 2024 official final roster, but the fact that he's selected amongst the 40, in this final group is a nice thing to see. So congratulations to Scottie Barnes because, again, this is something that could be huge for his development. But the next thing we're taking a look at is Scottie Barnes' former coach in Nick Nurse, because we have a wild Nick Nurse update. Now, this summer, this off season, I made a vid on Courtside Digest how prior to Mike Budenholzer getting fired, prior to all this stuff going on, I predicted that Nick Nurse would be the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. I just thought the fit made sense, the sort of direction, and I'm a guy that's been, despite the fact Nick Nurse ended up, you know, having a tumultuous last season, or at least it looked like from the outside looking in. Final season with the Toronto Raptors, some shade being thrown back and forth between Nurse, Jerry, all that type of stuff. I've still regarded Nick Nurse as one of the top NBA coaches in the league right now, and I thought I thought it was a mistake to kind of fire him. I thought it might have been a little bit rash. Now I'm happy with Darko Rajakovic. I think he's been a solid coach for this Toronto Raptors team, but Nick Nurse's assistant actually ended up getting the job for the Milwaukee Bucks rather than Nick Nurse himself, which came as a shock to a lot of people, given the fact the Bucks are a team that are in championship contention. Why would they bring in a rookie head coach, sort of coach a team that has championship aspirations? And then those stakes got taken to a whole nother level when they made a big trade for Damian Lillard this offseason. So Adrian Griffin was put in a very tough spot. I mean, we've seen rookie coaches have these sink or swim sort of moments and thrive, right? Guys like Ty Lue, guys like Nick Nurse himself were given the reins to these, new teams and end up thriving, winning championships and stuff. But then you have, younger or at least, inexperienced in terms of NBA coaching head coaches. Obviously, assistant coaches are coaching in Europe, different places. But guys like David Black, guys like Adrian Griffin now at this point, teams with championship expectations just not being able to sort of hold down that job. And yesterday we got news that the Milwaukee Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, and a lot of eyes pointed now to what the Milwaukee Bucks were actually doing, because Nick Nurse has been thriving with the Philadelphia 76ers, doing a masterclass down there, at least from everything we've seen from out of the Sixers world. They're third seed in the East, very close to the Bucks in the standings, seems to be taking MVP Joel Embiid to a whole nother level. So a lot of eyes are turning to why Nick Nurse wasn't the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, last offseason, despite the news reports that he was potentially going to get hired there coming up prior to his actual getting selected for the Sixers job. And basically, it being the right fit, at least in hindsight, it seems like. Well, news has basically come out also that Doc Rivers has been hired by the Milwaukee Bucks, which again is pretty surprising to some fans across the NBA. But basically, news has come out that Giannis Antetokounmpo reportedly didn't want Nick Nurse. League sources say now that the desire to play for Adrian Griffin is better described as a determination to play for someone other than Nick Nurse. Nurse was was among the candidates that the Bucks had high on their list after 5-game drubbing to the number 8 seed Miami Heat in the first round of last season's playoffs. But sources say that Giannis Antetokounmpo wanted the Bucks to go in a different direction and thus chose to champion Griffin. And a lot was made about how Giannis wanted Adrian Griffin to be the head coach, how he was supporting him. That's why Adrian Griffin ended up getting the job over some more established candidates, with some more, head coaching experience. But it's not looking like the right move here now at this point. So it's, with Adrian Griffin obviously getting fired, and now Doc Rivers, who, again, I think he gets trashed on a little bit too much. I think he has done some good things over the course of his coaching career, has had some playoffs disasters, obviously still riding off that championship win in 2008 with the Boston Celtics, has had some lows with the Clippers, but has had some highs with these different teams too. I mean, Doc Rivers is a very competent coach. Apparently he's been an advisor to Adrian Griffin, but frankly, it looks like a bag fumble by Giannis Antetokounmpo, not wanting to play for Nick Nurse, and maybe all the 2021, the Giannis watch speculation had no hope. It was futile, given the fact that we had Nick Nurse coaching this team. So maybe we didn't have Nick Nurse, Giannis would have came in different years. That's extreme, probably wrong speculation, but I like to think there's a world where Giannis Antetokounmpo is wearing a Toronto Raptors jersey. But let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys have been swinging this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.